All right, let's talk about one of the absolute toughest parts of leadership, that constant, and I mean constant, balancing act. It's a challenge we all face, right? So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to master this equilibrium.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you ever felt this pull? You know, the pressure to decide, do I need to be assertive right now and just drive my agenda forward? Or do I need to be more accommodating and build consensus? Should I be the big picture visionary, or do I need to be the practical one who makes sure today's work actually gets done? It always feels like you have to pick a side. But here's the thought that can change everything. What if forcing that choice, what if that either-or thinking is the trap itself? What if that's just completely the wrong question to be asking in the first place?
So let's dig into that. We're going to start with this really common trap I call the either-or myth in leadership. It's this idea that we're always told we have to choose a single style and just stick with it.
You know, for the longest time, the conventional wisdom was that you had to find your style. Are you the decisive leader, the collaborative one, the big idea visionary? The thinking was you pick your lane and you just get really, really good at it. And you see this thinking reinforced all the time. I mean, you hear things exactly like this, right? This quote just perfectly captures that rigid mindset. It frames leadership as this fixed thing, forcing you into a box that, as we're about to see, is incredibly limiting.
Okay, so if that's the trap, how do we get out of it? Well, it's all about a massive and really powerful shift in perspective. It's what we'll call the art of the balance. And what's so powerful is when you see the contrast laid out like this, the old way is rigid. You're forced to choose a side, and you pretty much always risk alienating half your team or just completely losing your direction. But this new model, it's all about being agile. It's not about picking one thing over the other. It's about skillfully managing both of those opposing forces at the same time. That's how you create both performance and harmony. So this really gets us to a brand new definition. Effective leadership isn't about being one thing. It's the active, ongoing skill of navigating these complex, opposing ideas. It's a process, something you do, not just something you are. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like day to day? Let's break this whole concept down into 3 really concrete examples. 3 key balances that pretty much every leader has to manage.
First up, we've got engagement versus empowerment. So engagement is all about being involved, right? Providing that clear direction, making a decisive call when it's needed. But empowerment is the opposite. It's about stepping back, creating space, and trusting your team to have autonomy and own their work. A truly great leader knows exactly when to jump in with a map and when to just hand over the compass and get out of the way.
All right, let's move to our next duality, assertiveness versus accommodation. This one's a classic. Of course, you need to be assertive sometimes to push an agenda forward or make a tough call. But if that's your only move, you're going to miss out on so much crucial input. Accommodation, making sure everyone's voice is heard, staying flexible, that's not weakness. It's actually a massive source of strength and leads to way better decisions. Finding that balance is everything.
And our third example really captures that constant tension between the future and the present. You've got to be able to inspire your team with that big picture strategic vision, but let's be real, that vision means absolutely nothing if the day-to-day work isn't getting done right now. The best leaders are masters at connecting those small, practical tasks to that big, inspiring future goal.
So, how do you actually do this? How do you put it into practice? Well, it comes down to this simple but incredibly powerful 3-step process. First, you have to recognize the context. What does this specific situation, this team, this project need from me right now? Second, you consciously adapt your style to meet that need. And third, you actively work to find the equilibrium between those opposing forces.
So, you put in all this work. What's the payoff? Why does this matter so much? Because when you master this, you become a truly agile and deeply effective leader.
And I really want to emphasize this. We're not just talking about adding a few new tricks to your leadership toolkit. Mastering this art of balance fundamentally transforms your entire approach. It is a complete evolution of how you lead.
And the benefits here are huge. They're the things that really separate good leaders from truly great ones. First, you cultivate genuine agility. You can respond effectively to literally any situation that's thrown at you. Second, you boost performance, driving amazing results without causing burnout. And finally, you foster harmony. You build a team that is strong, cohesive, and genuinely trusts where you're leading them.
So, if you only take one single thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. Leadership is not a fixed position you arrive at. It is a dynamic balance that you have to constantly maintain. It's a verb, not a noun.
And that brings us to the final and most important question. the one for you to take back to your work. What equilibrium, what specific balance does your team need from you today?